WWE NXT TakeOver New York is going to be coming to us this Friday, April 5th from Brooklyn, New York at the Barclays Center. As always, I get so ecstatic when it comes to these NXT TakeOver events, but in particular, I get extremely excited for these events that happen on WrestleMania weekend. You know, this year's NXT TakeOver event is going to deliver. When has an NXT TakeOver event not delivered? But it just seems as though things are heightened times 10 when it comes to WrestleMania weekend. And this weekend is going to be no exceptions whatsoever. Let's talk WWE NXT TakeOver New York on this edition of the RCWR show. Call That Match edition. Looking at the card as it stands right now, we've only got 5 matches. Hopefully, maybe we'll have a dark match or maybe some type of a pre-show match in there. We've got the War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe. They're going to be defending the NXT Tag Team Championships against Aleister Black and Ricochet. You know, in a perfect different setting. And let me just back up a second before I even go any further. You know, the way I usually like to approach these Call That Match editions of the RCWR show, I tell you what I personally would like, but then what's probably most likely going to happen. All right, so you got to keep that in mind. Now, if it was me booking this, just putting on my thinking cap, putting on my writer's cap, as I do love to write a lot of stuff, I would love to have Aleister Black and Ricochet go over, and I'm going to explain to you guys the very reason why. There is a part of me that is seeing what's happening with these young men on the main WWE roster right now, and it's just not really clicking, I personally feel. And what was the telling tale for me was the Raw that we had got from Washington, D.C. Now, if you're a regular listener, a longtime listener of the RCWR show, you know how I told you, hey, when it comes to Washington, D.C., because I am based out here in the metropolitan area of D.C., I told you all that DC is a very smart crowd. They know about their NXT and all that, but it seems as though the reception to Aleister Black and Ricochet, as what has been a recurring theme since they've been on the main roster, the verdict has been out. That's the vibe, the general consensus, the general vibe that you feel from the WWE universe looking at these two individuals on the main roster. And there really hasn't been that much of a homage / backdrop to their previous work and accomplishments, milestones, things of that nature down in NXT. So I would be looking at, if I could have this my way, I would be looking at Aleister Black and Ricochet winning the NXT Tag Team Championships for the sole purpose of going into WrestleMania weekend. Now remember, when it comes to WrestleMania weekend, these young men, they're doing double duty. These two young men are going to be involved at this year's WrestleMania, and they are going to be involved in the Fatal 4-Way match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And what I personally would love to see happen, if I could have it my way, is on top of them winning the NXT titles this Friday, I also would love to see them win the SmackDown tag titles as well. And as a result of that, now it's a case where, okay, well, not only are we continuing to see these men, and, you know, I know some people are going to say, well, what about what's going on with them on Raw? Well, if you have them win the SmackDown titles, does that mean that they become exclusive to SmackDown? No, you could continue to do it the way that it's currently operating right now. They're doing all 3 shows. For those of you that maybe do not know, they're making their rounds. They're pretty much going and doing all 3 shows. I say for the foreseeable future, and as long as they're willing to continue to stay at it for just a little while longer, a couple of more months, I say just from a sole marketing standpoint, both tag titles on them for the sole purpose of continuing to build them up, build up their stock, build up their respective brands. And as I've been saying off and on for many years now, create the domino effect. You can have so much more of an audience on your NXT brand if you market just right. And when you have that type of a connection of a crossover, as I'm referencing, it's a win-win situation on so many levels, Now, will that happen? Probably not. But, my gut is telling me that with regards to this matchup at NXT TakeOver, I think it's going to be Hanson and Rowe. I think they're going to be able to successfully retain the tag titles. Going into our next match, Pete Dunne is going to be taking on Walter for the WWE United Kingdom Championship. Pete Dunne has been on one hell of a roller coaster from the little bit that I've seen of NXT UK. He is a really great throwback of a wrestler, I gotta tell you. I've always had a strong and rich appreciation for European wrestling. I've always had a great appreciation for those guys overseas. Always have. And he reminds me of a young William Regal. There is just so much I see when I look at Pete Dunne. So the mannerisms, the way he moves in the ring, there's a lot that when I look at him, I see a combination of William Regal, and I also see a little bit of my man Nigel McGuinness in there as well, just to a certain degree. So I love this guy. I'm very high on his work. This Walter dude, my God, that is a big boy, man. I'm telling you, I'm very impressed with this man. One-time PWG World Champion and Progress Wrestling, where he's the current Progress World Champion in his first reign right now. 31 years of age. This young man, he is not done growing just yet, let me tell you. Pretty much came on down to the WWE 2019, January 2019 at NXT TakeOver Blackpool. That's when he had made his WWE debut. As you all know, or maybe some of you all don't know, just kind of get you caught up to speed a little bit. That's where he had initially confronted the United Kingdom champion in Pete Dunne after Dunne had a successful title defense. And then the following week, Walter once again had confronted Pete Dunne and Joe Coffey in the ring. Didn't say anything. Intentions was very clear. He wanted a shot at Pete Dunne's UK championship. So, go after that period, you go to February 2nd. That was an edition of NXT UK where Walter made his in-ring debut against Jack Stars, beat him in under 4 minutes, might have been even less than that. So pretty much this is how we are at the point that we're at right now. So, man, kind of tough, man. This is kind of tough right here because I'm looking at the fact that currently he is the Progress World Champion. That's the only title that is pretty much current right now. And I'm just wondering if WWE would put the title on him, if they would be willing to put the NXT UK title on him, let him finish up his obligations with Progress Progress Wrestling, right? See what they could do with that, Progress Wrestling, if they could have him finish up there. I'm a little bit on the fence. There's a big part of me that's saying Walter is probably going to be doing this. He's probably going to be getting away with the title, but I just personally feel that's a little bit too fast. And my gut instinct is telling me how I would personally book this and what I feel may possibly happen in this matchup. I think Walter is going to be surprised. Maybe it's going to be a case where Pete Dunne barely escapes. I could see a case come about where maybe Pete Dunne wins by count out and Walter is just livid because he knows that, hey, if it wasn't for a silly little 10 count, he'd have owned Pete Dunne, and that way the feud continues on. I just don't see, because see, you also got to look at it from this type of a booking standpoint. Pete Dunne has been so dominating all of these months. You can't just have him lose in a somewhat squash match. You can't just have him lose to a guy like Walter in such fashion where it basically negates his entire NXT UK title reign. You just can't do that. That would just put deface into Pete Dunne's stock and that would diminish his run as a champion. So you can't exactly go that route. You definitely need to have somewhat of a long, drawn out match and everything. I can see this match playing about where Pete Dunne uses his speed to his advantage. I can see a case where he tries to go for the legs early. You bring down the monster, you bring down the beast, right? However that line goes from that Dragon movie that Matthew McConaughey was in from a good minute ago. But you get the point that I'm making. I can see a case where strategically, just looking at this match, if I'm laying it out early on, he's using his speed, trying to do a little bit of a cat and mouse game, tries to take out the legs and everything, just keeps working on the legs, eventually one big powerful blow knocks out Pete Dunne. That gets Walter back into the game and everything. But there needs to be that type of a story that's told where Pete Dunne is slowly but surely trying to chop down the giant. But somehow in the closing moments of this matchup, I just would like to see a scenario come about where Pete Dunne somehow is able to retain the title on a countout. Walter loses via countout. These two men continue their feud. That goes into the next batch of weeks for NXT UK. You can pretty much do it like that. So wishful thinking right there. We'll see how that one comes about. Johnny Gargano is going to be... Actually, you know what? Let's save that one for last. Let's go to the next matchup. Velveteen Dream takes on Matt Riddle. It is a singles match for the North American Championship. And I have been enjoying me some Velveteen Dream. That young man has just been white hot right now. And there is just that big selfish part of me that would love to continue to see this young man continue to hold on to that North American Championship. But I just have this sick feeling, this instinct that maybe we're going to be seeing young Velveteen Dream on the main roster. You know, just around the corner, that shakeup is coming. And I'm kind of dreading that because I'm looking at Velveteen Dream and I just have this feeling that Velveteen Dream is maybe going to be coming up, and see where I have trepidations. I just wonder if we're really going to get the Velveteen Dream that we've been getting all this time in NXT once he moves up to the main roster. Now, if you were to tell me, Lee, Velveteen Dream's going to SmackDown, I would say to you, okay, well, you know what? He may just be able to continue to do what he's been doing in NXT on SmackDown. Everything should remain intact. But if he were to go to Raw, I'm just not confident. The track record I have been seeing as of late, I'm just not impressed. I am literally screaming to WWE, if you're gonna pull young Velveteen Dream, put him on SmackDown. Build him better properly on SmackDown. Let him thrive more. Let him get in the ins and the outs. Let him continue his evolution. He can grow so much better on the SmackDown brand as opposed to the Raw brand. So, point being, I feel as though maybe, just maybe, Matt Riddle is going to come out of this as the new NXT North American champion. The young kid is hot right now. He is hot, and I've always been a sucker for, you know what, strike while the iron is hot. You got people that are buzzing, you've got their attention, they're coughing up that money, right? Merchandise, all that, right? You got them in the palm of your hands. Go ahead, go there. There's nothing wrong with that. He's been on a really good roll this last little bit since he's joined the WWE. And remember, July 31st, 2018, that's when pretty much everything had began. Rumor was that he signed a contract with the WWE. And as you all know, at the NXT Brooklyn 4 event, going back to 2018, there he was. He had appeared, and he was announced as WWE's newest signee. And then if you really stop and think about it, following up after that, he made his NXT debut in October, and he's pretty much just been little by little, just chipping away. And pretty much here we are right now. So it's not like you would be hot-shotting Matt Riddle. He's pretty much been doing his thing since October of last year. So think about that. That's October, November, December, January, February, March, April. You're pretty much going into 7 months now. Go for it. Pull the trigger. Just go ahead. Go for it. I would have no problem with Matt Riddle coming out as the new champion. But as I mentioned at the top, I personally feel that Velveteen Dream's days are numbered in NXT, and I'm a little bit heartbroken at that, but hey man, it is what it is. Moving to our next matchup, we've got Shayna Baszler defending her NXT Women's Championship against Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kairi Sane. Oh man. A tough one right here. A tough one. Now, I'll need to rely on you guys to get me and everybody else caught up to speed. But unless Jasmine Duke and Marina Shafir have been banned from ringside, I can't help but wonder how much of a factor those two girls are going to play in this fatal four-way matchup, because history has shown that these two girls will do any and everything to help out Shayna Baszler, whatever it takes to make sure she comes out of there with the W. So kind of keeping that in mind, can Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, Kairi Sane, can they be on the lookout for these two girls? And since it's 3 against 2, they got a little bit of handicap going in their favor. Would they be able to derail possible interference by Duke and Shafir? Only time will tell when we get ready to come up on this NXT TakeOver event. But just looking at where things currently are right now, Io Shirai, she had her time in the sun, as far as I'm concerned. No, let me back up a second. No, if I'm not mistaken, Io Shirai has yet to touch that NXT Women's Championship. She's yet to touch it. She's been chasing after Shayna Baszler for a good minute now. And it seems like every time you turn around, she comes that close. I got her, and I do apologize humbly, I got her a little bit mixed up there with Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane has already had her opportunity as the NXT Women's Champion, and she's another one who I'm kind of seeing that may possibly be coming up on the main roster. I just have this gut feeling that with everything that's been coming about with Asuka, that maybe WWE is now going to move on to the next flavor. And I just have this weird feeling that, well, you know what? Let's go with Kairi Sane. Her English is a bit better, a lot better to a certain degree. She's a little bit more prettier on the eyes. We could probably market her a little bit better and everything. I wouldn't put it past WWE if they're already thinking along those lines. And if they do decide they want to go in that type of nature, I don't want for them to just, okay, Asuka, and just put her in the rearview mirror. I think if anything, let it be a situation where you bring Kairi up on the main roster, pair her up with Asuka. That would be a very interesting and unique tag team. And Lord knows you need more female tag teams. Let me really stress this. You need solid women tag teams right now. You don't really have that many, okay? Other than Nia Jax and Asuka. You go to Beth Phoenix, and you go to Natalia, all right? And look, Beth Phoenix, that could be a temporary thing, right? I hope that Beth sticks around just long enough to really help out now that the women's tag titles are back into the picture again, right? But for now, you've got them. You've got the Boston Hug connection, right? You've got them running around. I believe I've already mentioned Tamina and Nia Jax. Hopefully I did. If I did not, there's your plug for those respective girls right there. Iconics, I'm not seeing anything. I'm just not seeing anything with them, all right? As far as Asuka and Naomi, I don't really think there's any chemistry there. It just feels so random, and I don't really think there's anything there, and that's not a disservice to both of those women, because both women are very talented. I just personally feel that if you want solid, comparable, competent okay, these two girls, okay, yeah, we're in for a solid matchup. It just seems like on paper, it makes a lot more sense for Kairi Sane, Asuka to team up together. And you know what? Eventually, somewhere down the road, you could have these two feud against each other. I think that would be pretty interesting. Not to mention, it refreshes Asuka, right? It freshens up her gimmick a little bit, right? Because now more than ever, she needs a new layer added to her after all the stuff that's been happening with her recently. So Kairi Sane, I don't see her coming out on top. Bianca Belair, I'm a sucker for Bianca Belair, man. I am a sucker. And hey, man, she had a really good match with Baszler at the last TakeOver event. I was rooting for homegirl. She came so damn close, but Jasmine Duke, Marina Shafir, they interfered. So once again, how much of an equation are those two girls going to play in interfering in this matchup? But all that in mind, when it's all said and done, what's going to happen here is Baszler going to walk out, or are we going to be crowned with a new NXT Women's Champion? I've got to go with Bianca Belair. I think Bianca Belair is the way to go. I think Shayna Baszler has proved that she is more than willing, more than capable. I think she's reached her peak down in NXT. I don't really see how much further you can go with Shayna Baszler without recycling through the women, respectfully, that's already there on the NXT roster. I feel that as part of the whole shakeup, Baszler is going to be coming up. And assuming that maybe Ronda Rousey is going to take some type of a break, I just have this feeling that if the break were to happen, one of the next times that we would see Ronda Rousey, and I could see a scenario where maybe Ronda Rousey is off TV for like maybe 2 months or whatever, I could see Ronda Rousey coming back with Shayna Baszler, Jasmine Duke, and Marina Shafir. That's how I'm looking at it right now. And I definitely feel that WWE would promote Jasmine Duke, Marina Shafir, Shayna Baszler coming soon to Raw. And then you go over to SmackDown, coming soon to SmackDown. And it's kind of like, well, which brand are these girls going to be popping up on? What the hell? But that's the kind of vibe that I'm feeling right now. I got Bianca Belair coming out as your new NXT Women's Champion. One more match to talk about. Let's go ahead. Let's go there. Johnny Gargano taking on Adam Cole. Adam Cole, baby! 2 out of 3 falls match for the vacant NXT Championship. Heartbreak that Tommaso Ciampa is not in this match. As we all know, he is dealing with a serious injury right now. He had a serious neck injury. He had to get surgery. He's going to be out for a significant period of time. And everybody wants to drink this Kool-Aid about how WWE is this evil empire that when a wrestler gets injured and all this other stuff goes down, they're subject to be terminated by the WWE. Let me tell you something. You're talking to somebody that has friends that are professional wrestlers, that have been wrestling promoters, people that currently are involved in the business and all that. And I've heard on very good authority, and not to mention WWE has a really good respected track record of every single time something happens to a wrestler where they unfortunately are not able to bring in money for themselves and for the WWE due to a significant injury that has sidelined them for longer than 3 months. WWE has done, to their credit, a very good damn job in making sure that they are 100% taken care of with whatever expenses that they may need so that they can come back to the WWE nice and healthy. Even if a situation occurs where after that wrestler is 100% healthy, okay, now that they are healthy and we kind of feel that creatively we don't really have anything we can do for this professional wrestler, we don't feel we have any need of them, let's go ahead, let's let them go. They make sure that before they let that person go, they are 100% healthy so that they can jump out there, take whatever bookings that they're able to get. And one of the greatest examples of that is Matt Sydal. Look up his shoot interview as he recounts everything that had happened with his injury and how WWE had took good care of him, even though they didn't have to. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there because I see this narrative that some people are putting out there about the evil empire of the WWE and everything, but heartbroken that Tommaso Ciampa, the great momentum that he's been on right now, to get derailed like this, and especially at this point in his career where everything has aligned so perfectly and he's out of the mix. And here we are now, Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole. Is it finally Johnny Gargano's time? Is it finally his time? I say yes. I say yes, it is finally Johnny Gargano's time. Yeah, my mind's made up. I am definitely seeing Mr. Wrestling, Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano walking out of this as your new NXT champion. But that's how I'm looking at it for NXT TakeOver New York. Once again, for the NXT Tag Team Championships, I'm seeing War Raiders retain. Pete Dunne, by countout, will retain his United Kingdom Championship. Matt Riddle becomes the new NXT North American Champion. Bianca Belair becomes the new NXT Women's Champion. And Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, finally accomplishes his dream and becomes the NXT Champion. That is going to do it for NXT TakeOver New York. Predictions, picks on this edition of the RCWR show. Call that match edition. Remember, we're going to be coming at you guys on Friday. Again, Friday, April the 5th. We will have a WrestleMania preview and predictions edition, as it'll be another installment of our Call That Match series. So make sure you tune in for that. That's going to be some really good, solid stuff. And in the meantime, be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes of the RCWR show you may have missed on demand and on the downloads. I did finish cleaning up the audio from this week's show. So for those of you that might have been patiently waiting for it, it is now available on demand and on the download for your favorite listening platforms/devices. Just use the keywords, the RCWR show. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. Again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. Make sure if you have not done so already, you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the great content that's going to be coming your way all WrestleMania weekend. We just told you about the WrestleMania Call That Match edition Friday, April 5th. As soon as NXT TakeOver goes off of the air, I will be coming on live via YouTube and via Discord to provide a post-show covering fallout from the NXT TakeOver event. Saturday is the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. I will be live as soon as that concludes on those same respected outlets. And then Sunday, April 7th, after WrestleMania 35 concludes, I will be live right here on all platforms. And we will cover everything that came about from WrestleMania 35. Pretty much wraps up on a special Monday night, April 8th edition of the RCWR show. It is the Raw after WrestleMania. You know, a lot of special crazy things happen on that Raw after WrestleMania. I will be live with you all on that respected episode on that day as well. And in between, I'll definitely be checking out MLW's events, Shimmer, Impact Wrestling, the G1 Supercard. Going to be checking a whole bunch of that cool stuff out. So we're definitely going to have your hookup right here. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the bell notification so you know about more cool content that comes your way on a weekly, consistent, sometimes semi-daily basis. That's going to do it. Until next go round, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly be kind to one another. I will see you next go round. Do take care.